Welcome back, everybody, to the Tommy Stone Show. I hope you're having a fantastic day. It is great to be talking to you guys again. I haven't been doing a live commentary in a little bit. I've been really focused on my TikTok, so if you guys are watching this right now and you haven't found out about my TikTok, I'm live there almost every single day, posting clips, commentary, you name it. I mean, I'm on there all the time, so go follow the Tommy Stone Show. It's the same as my YouTube handle. Just go type it in. You can go type it on Instagram, pretty much everywhere. But today's episode, I am really excited for. Let's just jump right into it. It's going to be AI regulation. I am fed up right now with this current administration. What is going on with AI regulation? And the real question is, there is none. And why is there none? And to me, the answer is because I believe the current administration wants AI to really keep the GDP going. As we know, if you were to take AI outside of the growth of the GDP, American GDP, we'd have a net negative GDP. We would be having a very bad time right now. The only thing that's keeping us afloat is all the spending that these massive AI companies are doing on tech build-outs. They're building out these massive data centers. And again, the issue with these big data centers is all of this spending is not to create jobs. It is to get rid of jobs. And that's why I believe we need a lot more regulation. I'm typically against government regulation most of the time in an economic sense. But with AI, we really need to be careful about what's going on, especially with the cybersecurity sense. And that's what I'm really worried about. And we haven't seen any sort of law that is essentially enforcing these companies to have very strict security. Anthropic just had 150 unauthorized users get into essentially their backdoor data systems, and they were able to access models that were not released to the public. And that is absolutely ridiculous, and that cannot happen. And you can't prevent every sort of hack. And I know these companies are doing everything that they can, but we need to be really watching out for cybersecurity and making sure that people aren't just using these programs for hacking. And if people are able to use these programs for hacking, that these companies are held liable. And also on top of that, with scamming, these voice AI companies being able to do, again, the different faces and whatnot, but the voice AI and now the scamming over the phone with the elderly people will literally call you as a relative. They can fake your face, your phone, your voice. They can fake every single part about you now with AI, and it is absolutely freaky. There needs to be heavy regulation on videos that are made with AI, voices that are made with AI, any sort of video or any sort of digital creation with AI outside of text, in my opinion, needs to be having some sort of watermark and cannot be used. Seriously, these companies that are making voice AIs, they cannot be used in an unregulated sense. We can't just be giving the public the tools just to scam everybody. And that's what it really is. And that's what it's really coming down to, is that we are giving the public tools and weapons of mass destruction. We don't know the full capabilities of AI. We are literally discovering that every single day. And I think that's something that everybody needs to really hone in on and understand, is that every time we're getting a new news story about, again, a new scam that's coming out with AI, a new voice way that we can scam the elderly, and it's terrible, but we are just reacting to it. We have to be there before it. We have to be able to counteract these type of things before they happen and not just be reacting to the aftermath and trying to handle the fallout. I mean, it is absolutely ridiculous. And something else I have a huge problem with the current Trump administration is, again, what I mentioned. This is leveraging the entire GDP, but it is getting rid of jobs. We have no real understanding of what is going to happen with white collar or blue collar jobs. And the worst part about it is that when we are getting AI into these companies, we are only seeing them adapting it more and more every single day. And even though they're spending a ton of money on AI, it is still far less than they would have been spending on normal employees. And to me, that's crazy, because I would have thought at some sort of rate there would have been a balance out where they can't get rid of employees because the AI spending would have been so much, but we're not seeing that yet. In fact, we're only seeing companies doubling down on investing in AI because they know it's going to save them so much money in the future. So I am really worried about this, and there's absolutely going to be no way that we're going to get short time regulation. It's going to all have to be within a 10-year scope, and people are going to have to really start asking for it. I'm asking for it in the cybersecurity sense, that we cannot have people getting access to these weapons of mass destruction. And by that, I mean doing videos, by doing fake voices, and being able to hack with AI. Those three things are the main three things we need regulated absolutely right now, and I just don't see it happening. On top of that, the issue that I have with the watermarks, and I want to be able to put a watermark in every single thing, there are going to be websites and there are going to be ways that you can obviously remove the watermark, and I feel like that is just a stupid way to get around it. Sora had the watermark, and again, for the most part, I didn't really see too many videos with it if they were to be uploaded in a professional sense. And if people were to really be trying to fool people, of course they're not going to put the watermark and they're just going to remove it. So again, there's a lot of ways to go about this. I think it just has to be in doing strict bans and very heavy fines if you are caught doing this ridiculous nonsense. I know that's hope that I mean that should be something that is very obvious to the current administration, but we're not seeing it. And again, we're not seeing the companies being held liable for these ridiculous things that your AI bots are saying. I do have an issue with the text. When you were trying to regulate text, it gets a little bit difficult there, because a lot of times with the text, because there are people who are going through these mental crises and ChatGPT psychoses. And while a lot of times I do blame the company for not having more red flags and guardrails in place, what would the guardrails for that even be? You know what I mean? When you really think about it, what would that guardrail, I mean, how would you even formulate a guardrail like that? I don't even know how to conceptualize it, how to get into that basis, but I do think that these companies need a lot more strict monitoring on what's going on inside their AI systems. And I think people are opposed to that. And to me, that's nonsense. If you are signing up for ChatGPT or Anthropic's AI, you are also being watched. It's not like your content isn't being watched already. I just believe it needs to be watched more in depthly, and we need to have a lot more monitors for these red flags. Again, when people are going into psychosis, they're talking. I don't know. I don't know the in details of all the chats, if there's any similarities between them. I really haven't looked into the specifics of that. But to me, I imagine there are obvious red flags that are going on that the AI system is probably noticing, especially if the person is talking about self-destructive habits in their life, or they're saying that something is going on with their personal life. I mean, I'm not sure how we would be able to regulate that, where the AI company, again, has to report that or has to notify that or stop them from using their service. I don't know how that would work. Again, I couldn't even begin to conceptualize it, so that's where I kind of stay away from it. But the voice and the video nonsense, that has to go. That just has to be banned. You have to be caught. If you're caught using that and posting it in a malicious way, the fines that you are going to be getting are going to be awful. I think it should be essentially career ending. I don't know if we should be sending people to jail over that just yet, unless it is really used in a terrible, malicious way, obviously. But again, people just doing the scamming, obviously I want you in jail. Don't even get me started. But people posting online, I don't think we should be putting them in jail, obviously. But I think we really do need to start setting the precedent that you can't just be going out and posting malicious content with people's faces and voices, because it is destructive to their image. As much as I'm not really the biggest Charlie Kirk fan, when you think of Charlie Kirk now, it's almost a joke. And I'm not saying we need to start getting rid of that on the internet, because there's always that class and we should be able to laugh about stuff like that. And I don't necessarily think it's the best way to look at what's going forward for the world. We have these weapons of mass destruction for people's character. And again, we're now getting that JP Morgan woman as well, tying it back to Charlie Kirk. It's just a reputation thing. She has been getting a ton of AI videos made about her and the situation. And again, that is irreversible damage to her character and her reputation. So I'm not sure how comfortable I feel with giving the public these tools, because I don't trust the public. Again, imagine if this were you. If you had a controversy coming out and all of a sudden you were in the spotlight, and people are mass making AI videos of you using your face and using your voice just to do insane things. I'm not sure how I would really feel about it. I mean, I think the obvious answer is I wouldn't feel good about it, but I think we really need to be looking at how to regulate the malicious acts of people using AI. Again, I'm not sure how we'd get into the tech spaces of it. If you know, drop it in the comments down below, please. I would honestly love to hear how we could really start to regulate these companies and actually give them a structure and a plan for how to fix themselves going forward. But I will say it is an up or out world nowadays, and that is just kind of the real world that we are living in. And I've always saying, do not complain about the current situation. AI is going to take jobs, and sadly, we just aren't going to be able to regulate it fast enough in order to get rid of jobs. I think that's just the baseline. As much as we want to stop companies from adopting AI, and we really want to stop the mass layoffs that we're going to see in the future, there's just no way we can regulate that or get it in place in time. And I really think the issue with that is we've already seen so much spending into AI. Why would the government chop that off? Well, again, why would we get rid of our biggest grower of GDP right now and essentially get rid of the strength of America? This is the new big race. It is the AI race. The race to the future is AI. So why would America give that up? I don't see it happening. And I also have an issue with regulating companies, as I said before. That's why I went after the more abstract versions of AI, especially with the image creation and the voice, because that is something that we can really control and show that it has mainly malicious intent and that we do not need this in our society. So that is something I've been harping on as well. That's why I focused on that. But for the job side, it's very difficult to control companies and regulate them in that sense with the firing and hiring and what software and services they can adopt, because that is very, very authoritarian in my opinion. Just too slippery of a slope and too much power to give to the government. I don't trust the government enough to give them any sort of power over private corporations. I think private corporations in the market 10 times out of 10 will always, and this is most likely, I mean, if you've taken a basic economic class, you'll know this. The market will always decide for itself what is the best market price, and it will always figure it out for itself. And no matter what happens, again, it is an up or out world. So you have to rise with the market. The market is going to continue moving whether you like it or not. And in this case, the market is sadly the job market that I'm referring to. The job market is going to be changing dramatically. It is no longer a time when you can go into a job with no experience. You need to prove that you can create value before you get into the job. And that's something I talk about with anybody who's going into finance, especially if you're going into computer science. You need to prove that you can create value before you get one of these jobs. One of the best examples that I can give is creating your resume. No longer is the world where your resume will build itself. You can get an entry-level job, and again, you'll move up the ladder, and that resume will build itself. No longer is that. You have to create that job for yourself. So I always say, especially if you're in a field where you can become specialized, learn something very specific, especially when you're in college and you're focusing on a broad range of topics. Find one niche that you love and become a master of it, because that is something companies love to see, is that they can put you somewhere specific and you can play a role perfectly. And nowadays with AI, if you can use an AI-based role and you can combine AI with your specific skills and your niche skills, you're going to be unstoppable. And that is what I've been emphasizing to anybody, is learn how to merge AI with everything in your life, academic, career, personal life. I know it sounds weird with the personal life, but you have to learn how to just interact with it and prompt these robots. And the best way to do it is just talking to it and not doing it in an academic sense. It's just learning how it gives better, more detailed responses. And I think if you just interact with these bots more, people will understand how important they are for the future and how important it is to master them. But going back to creating value in your resume, you have to create your own job now. Before I started this channel, one of my favorite things I did was I was picking stocks and buying stocks myself. That's fantastic, having a portfolio of stocks. And I know most people my age have a portfolio of stocks. But in my opinion, take that one step further and show how you can create value with that. Learn and go into detail about how you're picking your stocks and teach other people how to pick those stocks. I created a newsletter. It was one of the funnest things I did, and it got me into what I'm doing now. And it also has led me to many more opportunities outside of just creating videos. But that's the whole point, is I created value. I had a successful portfolio that I was sharing with people for a prolonged period of time, teaching them how to pick their own stock picks at the same time. And you can pretty much do this in any sort of niche, in any sort of field, especially with just tutoring in general and becoming a teacher. I think that is so important in computer science now, is showing that you're not only just somebody who can create a product online, but you are a human capital asset. You are somebody who can create outside of just what you can do in your workplace. Because again, you have to show that you can interact with humans, you can interact with AI bots now. That is the best way to land a job, is you can show that you have merged not only your professional and your personal life, but you've merged it with your career and your AI skills. Because the whole point of going into a career is that you want to be a functional, versatile human where you get into any sort of situation and you can just handle it. That is what a company is hiring you for. They're not hiring you, again, for the two languages you know. Again, maybe, well, that is a great asset, but they're not specifically hiring you for that. When they meet you, that is the point of the interview. Because if you're a complete goofball, even though you might have all the skills in the world, you're a complete goofball to talk to. It is impossible to enjoy working with anybody like that. And not only enjoy, but it's impossible to be successful with somebody you cannot communicate with. So learn how to communicate with these AI robots, because that is just where business is going. Corporations, I believe 70% of corporations by now, I don't know what market cap level, but it's a good indicator. 70% of businesses essentially have adopted AI at some sort of level now. Whether that's, again, employees are using on a day-to-day basis, or the companies actually implemented policies or softwares that are directly AI that are getting rid of jobs. I mean, again, every company in the world is going to be adopting AI in the future. At some point, that 70% is going to be 99%, probably by 2030, in my opinion. I don't know what the statistics say, but there's no way it's not 100% by then, honestly. But AI is coming, so learn how to use it and learn how to be valuable with it. Learn how to create value. That is all I'm trying to say, especially if you are in a field where it is very competitive already. Something that makes you stand out is just showing that you have created something, created a business with it as well. I'm not sure how it would work. Or actually, I could imagine, but you could, again, think about it in the most basic sense as well, especially if you're like an accounting major. You could run a basic, just go reach out to a bunch of local businesses around you and see if they need help with their books, and you're running an accounting firm. Something like that. Again, spice it up a little bit. You have to get creative with how you're going to be phrasing it, of course, and how you talk about it, but experience is experience, and creating value is value. Go around to your local neighbors in your community and find a way to create value with your degree. That is the best way to think about it, especially with a pre-law person. The amount of advice and basic consulting you could offer with a pre-law degree with people in your community would be super beneficial, especially for businesses. And again, I'm kind of just freestyling right now off the top of my head, but that's just the basic underlying thing, is think about what your degree is teaching you already and how other people who haven't learned that, how teaching them that is valuable. And that's all I'm really trying to get at. I started videos just talking to a camera, trying to get people up and off their feet using AI and not getting scared by it. And I hope these videos are doing it. I know I kind of rant for a while. I'm not sure how much it works, but I hope somebody's listening and picking up and using AI, because at the end end of the day, it is an up or out world, like I have said. Up or out. And if you do not get up, you're out. So thank you for watching the Tommy Stone Show, everybody. I hope you have a fantastic, fantastic day. Try to upload more regularly, but again, check out the TikTok, check out the Instagram, do what you need, but check out more Tommy Stone content. Thank you guys all. Have a great day.